Not every story starts with a scream. Some begin with a knock on the window, long after midnight. Since I started Midnight Frequency, I've collected stories from people who swore they'd met something or someone they should have never crossed paths with after dark. These are 4 of those stories. 4 strangers you should never dream to meet after midnight. Story 1. The Man by the Gas Pump. I got this story from a young woman named Jenna. She worked the night shift at a small gas station off Route 9, the kind of place where you hear crickets louder than traffic. Her shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., and most nights were uneventful, until one Thursday. It was 2:43 a.m. The air smelled like rain and gasoline. The parking lot was empty, except for one dark sedan parked by the far pump. No headlights, no engine running, just sitting there. Jenna glanced at the camera feed. The sedan's driver door opened, and a man stepped out. Early 40s maybe. Neat hair, buttoned shirt. Polite, clean, ordinary. He waved and walked inside. Evening, he said. My car broke down up the road. Mind if I borrow your phone? She nodded, sliding the receiver toward him. He dialed, slowly, and spoke softly. No words she could make out, only that he never blinked. When he hung up, he smiled. Thank you. Someone's coming to get me. He left. A few minutes later, Jenna looked up at the security mirror behind the counter. The reflection of the man still stood there, behind her, still smiling. But when she turned around, the room was empty. She replayed the security footage. No one entered. No one left. Only her, standing alone, talking to air. The police checked later. They said no sedan ever showed up. And the phone, it had been disconnected for 2 years. Jenna quit the following week. But sometimes, when she drives past that gas station, she swears she still sees that man under the flickering light, watching her car pull away. Story 2. The Hitchhiker with No Name. This one came from a trucker named Doyle. He's been driving across the Midwest for 18 years, and he says he's seen almost everything the road can show you. Except this. It was 3:12 a.m. Heavy fog rolling across an empty interstate. Doyle saw a man standing beneath a broken highway lamp, barefoot, drenched, holding his thumb out for a ride. Normally he'd keep driving, but something made him stop. He cracked the passenger door, and the man climbed in without a word, just nodded once and stared ahead. His clothes were soaked, shirt stuck to his chest, hair dripping into his lap. The air smelled faintly of lake water and rust. Rough night, Doyle joked. The man smiled faintly. Been a long one, he said. Just trying to get home. They drove in silence for 20 miles. The fog thickened. The man stared out the window, mumbling something too low to hear. When Doyle finally turned to ask if he was okay, the seat was empty. The passenger door was locked, but on the seat was a puddle of water. He pulled over, heart pounding. Checked the road behind him. No one. When he reached the next rest stop, a woman behind the counter saw his face and froze. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said. He told her what happened. She went pale. That road was closed 5 years ago. She whispered. The bridge washed out. There was a man who died trying to get home that night. They never found the car. Now, Doyle says sometimes when he drives that same route, his radio picks up static between channels, and through it, he hears breathing, wet, uneven breathing, just behind him. Story 3. The Door-to-Door Caller. This one came from a couple who lived in a quiet neighborhood just outside Portland. They'd only been there 6 months. Young, newly married, trying to escape city noise. The storm that night was brutal. Lightning had knocked out the power across half the block. The house was pitch dark. No street lights. No hum of electricity. At 3:07 a.m., they heard knocking. The husband grabbed a flashlight and went to the door. Standing outside was a man in a black suit, rain dripping off his hat brim. He smiled politely said he was from the electric company, there to check the meter. The husband frowned. They hadn't called anyone. And besides, the storm was still raging. When he shined the light up at the man's name tag, there was nothing written there, just a blank, reflective, silver square. Then the man looked up, and his eyes caught the light, pure white, like glass catching headlights. The husband stammered, "Sir, it's late. Come back tomorrow." But the man didn't move, didn't blink. It just smiled wider. Then the light went out. When the flashlight flickered back on, the porch was empty. Only wet footprints leading away into the rain. The next morning, the wife found the front door wide open, the chain still hooked, but somehow snapped clean in half. Police came, took statements, said there were reports of someone posing as a city worker in the area, but the description they gave, no record, no employees, no such company listed. A month later, the couple moved out, and the new owners, they said every time it storms, someone knocks on their door, right at 3:07 a.m. Story 4. The Stranger in the Mirror. This story came from Raymond, a security guard at a 24-hour shopping complex just outside Phoenix. He worked the overnight shift alone, monitoring the cameras from a dim office. Nothing unusual ever happened there, until the night he saw himself move. He was patrolling the North Corridor. Long line of storefront windows, dark glass reflecting everything back like water. As he passed one of the displays, his reflection didn't follow and lagged, just a second behind. He laughed it off, kept walking, but then it waved. He froze, turned around. The reflection smiled, then turned its back, walking the opposite direction. Raymond ran back to the office, pulled up the security feed, and saw himself still walking that corridor. Only he was sitting at the desk. He tried radioing for backup. No signal. The cameras began to flicker, and in in each one he saw that figure, the other him, standing closer to the office door. One by one, the screens went black. Then his walkie hissed. A whisper. Don't turn around. When the morning guard arrived, the office lights were still on. The monitors were still frozen on static. Raymond's chair, empty. His radio, still transmitting faint breathing. They searched the building. Nothing. But on the glass of one storefront, the janitor found something strange. A perfect handprint. From the inside. If you've made it this far, you already know. Not every monster hides in the shadows. Some of them smile, ask for help, and thank you for keeping the lights on. The night isn't quiet. It's just full of things you should never dream to meet.